How old are you now, Ronja?
I'm 19.
19? Okay.
Yeah. We started filming when I was 14, 15.
Okay.
And we ended when I was 17. Yeah.
So this film, I heard Celia talking about it, that it took like 4 years to make this film. The filmmaker approached the family after Maria was gone, and it took her like four years to get to make this film, which we can see it goes through a lot of different moments of the family. I would like to ask you, like, how was the process for you to get somebody from outside to film your intimacy? How do you feel you were before she entered, and how you felt like after it?
Celia, who made the movie, she was many years before we started making this movie, when my mom was alive. She wanted to make a movie or series about how we lived, because it was quite not so normal. But then that didn't happen, and so Celia kind of knew my mom, and then after my mom died, Celia was like, we have to make something. And because we as a family we've always been so comfortable behind the camera, because she was a photographer, so our lives has been documented. We said yes, we want to do this, and we didn't really have a plan. We just started filming, because it's life, you don't know how it's gonna go. So we just started filming half a year later after she died, so it was really straight in. And I think as a family we just felt like we wanted to do this. We had to do this for my mom and also for ourselves. And of course the process also for me was very up and down. I set my boundaries, but I also really wanted to do this, and just to be able to see yourself in this grieving process was so special. And also to see it now, I feel very lucky in a way, because there's not so many people that has this opportunity to kind of see yourself and also grow from that, seeing how you were, and also the way, because me and my family, we kind of grew a little bit apart, as you also can see in the movie, which is one of the main topics. But to see your family in the grieving process while I didn't know how they felt, and they didn't know how I felt. So instantly after we all watched the movie for the first time, I think we just, okay, and we just grew really fast together again. So yeah, and after this whole thing happened, like the first time I watched the movie, I was really scared. I was like, no one can see this, because it's so personal. And then I was thinking a bit, and I was like, okay, I have to remind myself why we did this and why we did all of this. And I feel like, and my mind was just, okay, if it helps one person, if one person can relate, then it's worth it. And that was also my thought process while doing the movie. So, and then everything kind of blew up, and we had no expectations for anything. We were just, okay, let's see how it will go. But to hear all these positive things and just filled with love after, it just became, everything just became worth it, really. Yeah.
The first time you screened this film for an audience was in the US, right?
Yeah.
In Sundance.
Yes.
And that was your first time in a festival and showing it to a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Did you have like a moment before that to show it to people, or this was like the first time?
The Sundance was the first time seeing it in the theater.
Okay.
So it was quite an experience to go all the way to the US at this big festival and screening your movie for the first time, and also seeing it for the first time, and knowing that you had to do the Q&A, and it was very like a bit nerve-wracking and very overwhelming, but it went very well. But we didn't really, so nobody really saw it before that, and it didn't release in Norway before in March, so there was a period where no one in Norway had seen it. But of course some of our closest people had seen it because we shared it with them. But yeah, the Sundance was the first first showing of yeah.
And how is your life now? What do you do? What do you?
Yeah, my life is very well. I started nursing school, and then I went for a month, and then I know this is what I want to do, but I just felt after a month that this was not the right time. I needed the year to be free and do what I wanted. So I'm starting again next year. So I'm still going to be a midwife, and all of the things with the movie has changed me a lot. I feel like I've matured a lot about it and learned so much more about life. And it's something that I learned so much about people seeing it and seeing different takes, and people take so much different views from it. I feel there's so many stories in this movie that people relate to it in all kind of different ways. And I've also done a tour with the Cancer Association in Norway to tell my story in some of the biggest cities in Norway, which also was wonderful. And I got to tell my story to a lot of people, and I think there was a lot of people that really related to my experience as well. Yeah.
That might have been like a second stage of not only sharing your personal story on screen, but also like being able to talk, because yesterday you did a huge talk and now you're here and you're only 19. So I celebrate that. And does anyone have a question for Ronja? I'm sure everyone has questions, but nobody dares to. Yeah, please.
Well, obviously we are very interested in knowing what happened to your siblings and your stepfather after the movie.
Yeah, they're doing very well. My brother started Steiner Wachter Steiner School after, because they felt like that was the right thing to do for them. And they're doing very well. They're like, every morning they say like, well, we're so excited to go to school, and that's very nice. My sister has become a teenager and doing normal teenage things, which is also very nice to see. So that's it's really weird to see them grow up. And yeah, but and my stepfather is working and is doing very well. So yeah, we kind of created this new life which fits us really good, and we see each other. Now I moved back to Oslo, so I see them more frequently, which is very nice.
They are in Oslo too. Right
yeah,
now.
They live outside. Kongsberg, where we live, is like an hour outside of Oslo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah. I have some question. After this wildlife and then life in real society, what is the hardest thing for you? And what really help you to live? Like the hardest and the main good thing what you take from that life to this life?
Yeah, for me, my life was a bit different than them, because I lived, my mom and my dad split when I was 1, so I also have this other life with my dad, which was a bit different. So I was always like in the middle, and I also had a life before, because I lived with my mom before she met Nick and everything. But I think, so for me, in the start I was very like confused, like it was so many, I didn't know how to adjust to everything else, and not being there at all, and not having that side of my life anymore. And also losing the house was a big grief. We didn't only grieve my mother, we grieved our old life and also our house and many different things. But I think the most thing I take from living like that was the values that we were brought up on, and I feel like I always have them in my back of my head, even though now I live in the big city and everything. But I always kind of use them as a guidance for situations, and what my mom would always tell me and stuff like that. Yeah.
Like a good place to come to, no? Like a sanctuary, sort of.
Yeah.
Very interesting question. Anyone else would like to comment also? Yeah?
Yeah, thank you for the film. That was quite illuminating. Since you mentioned the making of it started after your mother died, in what context was the voiceover recorded that became an end film?
The voiceover is not my mom. There's many people that think so, because actually her voice is quite similar. It's actually someone we kind of knew as well, who has the voiceover. We tried many different things, different voices to fit, but we kind of chose this one because it has like the same kind of speaking of my mom, but all of the speaking is from my mom's blog. We just translated it to Norwegian because my mom's blog was in English, so it fits very well. So I wish it was my mom, but it's not. Yeah.
These things that films allow us not to do a little tricks to tell a story better. Is there something you would like to say to you when you see yourself in the film, you know?
I would like to say, don't be so hard on yourself, don't be so strict. And what I've learned after, because I see myself, and I see the way in the beginning of the movie I'm very grey, and I see that I am in pain. Like I'm in pain, but I see throughout the movie I kind of get this light back in my face and just how I am. But I wish to that grey person I could say, like, take your time, and you're allowed to feel like this, and it will get to a point where you are able to live with this grief in your life, and still that you will get kind of this normal back, and not everything is just chaotic all the time. And that I wish you could see what came out of all this. Yeah.
Anybody else would like to
Is it okay question from the boy?
Yes,
please?
yeah, of course.
It's Platon, he's 8.
Hi.
He's just shy, need to ask.
It's fine.
He asked why you cut your hair in the film,
Oh yeah,
and are you do it one more time after?
that's a really good question actually. I cut my hair. There was 2 reasons. When my mom passed, when she cut her hair, I said I want to do it as well, but she was like, no, you can't, no, she didn't want me to do it. So I felt like when she died, I felt like I wanted to do this, and I also believe that hair holds a lot of memories and holds a lot of pain. So that's what I remember. I did it with my dad, and I just remember this instant crying because I felt like such a relief, like getting it all off, and also I just really wanted to do it. I thought that I want to be able to say I actually cut all my hair off. So it was kind of for my mom and also for myself, and I would love to do it again. I loved having the short hair, at least when it was short, because when it grew out it was a little bit like all over the place, but I really loved it, and it was kind of like a honor to my mom. Yeah.
Is it a good answer too?
We had another question.
Trying to record who was like how could you think about when you were recording, and like what stuff like during the process you were recording? Was it like you talking to the director, or was the director in constant communication with you guys?
Silja, she used a lot of time to get to know us, and we became so comfortable with each other. So the way we did it was kind of she was just a fly on the wall. And also because we were so comfortable being behind the camera, because we always has been behind the camera. And my mom told our whole life on the blog for so many years. I think that made us so comfortable. And also she really respected our wishes. For example, for me, I was having problem filming in public places for a really long time. I did not want anyone to see this. So when we were filming, we kind of had I told her, today I'm going to do this, and she was like, oh, can I join? And just film. So it wasn't a lot of, there's a lot of people that think some of the screens are a little bit scripted, because some people can't believe that it's so, that children can be so natural on camera, but because she used so much time to get us to trust her, and we were such a big part of this thing. Like, and she always told us like, this is not a film that's a job for her. It's a heart movie for her. This is something she believes in, and something that this is something that really means something for her. So that makes us feel very comfortable, and that confirmation that it means something. But of course, some days were really hard. I know the hardest scene for me was when we were leaving the house, and I see on my whole body language that it was so hard for me to be there, because this was the last time we saw the house. This was the last time I saw the house, and I have not gone back there because it's like an empty shell. I don't want to see anyone else living in my house. But I just see this whole situation was so uncomfortable. So I think, and that's also the hardest scene to look back at for me, because I feel the grief of that scene in me when I look at the movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I read that, I heard Celia say that what we see here is like 5-10% of what she shot, and I'm sure because, documentaries are like this.
Mm.
And it's interesting to have these sort of questions, because this is this is a film festival, and it's so intriguing how she did to be part of that, right? Of that intimacy. Would anyone like to ask one more question to Ronja before we let her go and enjoy Reykjavik?
Maybe one question for you.
Yeah.
You and your siblings, which one do you think is missing the nature life more?
They still kind of live the same way as we see when they move to the other farm. They still live there, and they kind of live the same, just more socialized and more not so. I don't like to use the word isolated, because I feel like we weren't so isolated. We just lived a very different lifestyle.
Yeah.
But they still live there, and they kind of live by the same values, and they do the same things, and our home looks the same as we did in another place. But I think Falk is the one that kind of misses the farm the most. He talks about it a lot, and having that, because he's a very free spirit. Like, he's maybe the wildest one of us, but I think he's the one that misses that life the most, because he was also a very growing phase when all of this happened. He was kind of in the middle of everything, and he's also the middle child, and I think he misses the farm a lot and misses that lifestyle a lot. Yeah.
How old are your siblings now today?
Wolf, the youngest one, he is 9, and Falk is 11. He's soon turning 12, and Freya is 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so quite older than what we see here.
They are.
Any last question?
I have one last strange question.
Yeah, that's right.
When I was watching this movie, it reminded me a lot of a movie I saw a few years ago, Captain Fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
What kind of experience was watching that movie?
Actually, that was one of the last movies we watched with our mom, Captain Fantastic, and she loved it, and we loved it, and we have gotten a lot of comments on the movie being quite similar, just Captain Fantastic is more extreme, I would say. But it's very nice, because we love that movie. Like, we felt very at home in that movie, and so it's very fun to be compared to that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I would feel very proud.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's please give an applause to Ronja.